Oh, hey, everybody. It's your friendly neighborhood Kevin Strange here, live on the YouTubes here today to reveal the cover of Dead Shit issue number 3. Got issue number 1 right here, issue number 2 right here. We're going to reveal the cover of issue number 3 today because I did that this weekend. Last time we did a show, hang on, before we get going anywhere else, I'm kind of center me up here. I'm gonna move my physical. No, I'm trying to cover up my mini fridge over there with all my food. I try to sit in front of it because I don't want my food in the shot here at the office. You know, trying to cut down on the heaviness. A large man, thick fellow, and trying to keep more healthy food over there in the mini fridge for my long days here at the office. Anyway, before we get going on the cover, I want to let you know that the first link in the description of this video will take you to Goodreads. Goodreads is a social media website where you can rate and review the books you've read, including comic books. I have issue number 1 and issue number 2 of Dead Shit listed on my Goodreads author page. You can log in to Goodreads with your Twitter or your Facebook account, and you can rate any book on the site without leaving a review, which means within seconds you could click that link in my description and rate Dead Shit issue number 1 if you are one of the many hack minions and strange heads who got in on that Dead Shit issue number 1 and 2 Indiegogo campaign several months ago. If you've read your copies and you would like to leave a rating, it'll only take seconds. If you'd like to write a review, even better, but only seconds. With your Facebook account, you can log in, drop that rating on Dead Shit, the comic book. That's the first link in the description. You could be doing that right now while you're listening to me talk, and you could be done and back here before I reveal the cover of Dead Shit issue number 3. I have nearly 1,000 reviews. 1,000 ratings, nearly 300 reviews. 1,000 ratings, 300 reviews on my Goodreads author profile. I have over 30 works listed on my Goodreads page, including my own novels and story collections, as well as stories that I've placed in anthology collections. Over 30 works, almost 1,000 ratings. And when I say almost 1,000 ratings, I believe we are 16 ratings away from that big 1000. 1,000 ratings. I would love to hit that. I would love to hit that from the participation of the people watching this video right now. Click that link, drop that rating, take seconds, and then come back here and watch this reveal. I'll wait. Not really. I'll wait if you pause me, and then we can get going. So anyway, it's Monday, July 1st, 2019. Had to write those rent checks today. That hurts a little bit, but not too bad. I do my best to live well inside my means. To say that I'm a frugal individual would be an understatement. I live a starving artist lifestyle. I've always been open about that, and I tend to hoard money like a squirrel hoards their nuts. They're nuts. And so anyway, it's July 1st, 2019. Antifa struck Portland this weekend, beat up a gay Asian journalist, allegedly hit him in the head with quick-drying cement mixed with milkshakes, and gave him a brain aneurysm or brain bleed or something. It's as we approach the July 4th holiday, the independence of this great nation from the clutches of Western Europe, I believe we've strayed far away from the ideals of our forefathers. But that's not what you're here today to learn, is it? Today you want to see the cover of Dead Shit issue number 3, and we're gonna color flat some pages, and I'm gonna go through the process of how to color flat pages and what that even means in the old Clip Studio Pro software that I use to make all this magic. Last time we talked, I was in the middle of lettering Dead Shit issue number 3. That process is finished, and I am also almost 10 pages into the color flatting, and then I went ahead and did the entire completed cover. What I like to do with the comic, by the time the penciling phase is done, by the time the inking phase is done, I am usually creatively, mentally exhausted with a project, and the excitement for the particular project is waning because I've seen these pages so many times. By the time I pencil it, ink it, and letter it, I've seen these pages over and over and over again, and the initial enthusiasm and excitement and laughter that I get from the jokes is long gone. That's in the rearview mirror. Those jokes are not funny anymore. Those poses don't look dynamic anymore. Those all you really see by the time you're this deep into the comic creation process is what you could have done better, honestly. And there are times when you'll hit a page and be like, that ain't so bad. But by the time you're done with your penciling, inking, and lettering, unless you go page by page, which that has its own daunting consequences. But I work in an assembly line style. All the layout thumbnails, all the pencils, all the pencil finishes, all the inks, all the letters, and then now onto the color flatting, and I'll color flat the entire comic, and then I'll go back and do the finishing color details and sound effects on the pages as the last sort of phase. I do everything in assembly line phases, except for the cover. And the reason that I do the cover at the beginning of my color flatting phase is having a completely finished color cover with all of the text is that this is where I reignite my passion and excitement for the project. Having that cover, be able to look at that cover, it really solidifies that this project is nearing completion, and it will exist as a work of art and entertainment for the consumption of the Strangeheads and the Hack Minions. And so now I'm fired up again. I'm ready to go again. I'm ready to knock out this color flatting phase and then do my color finishes and then launch this Indiegogo campaign. So I finished the letters late last week, like Thursday, I think. And then I started my color flatting Friday, or maybe I started Saturday. I know I did the cover Sunday. No, I did the cover Saturday. I color flatted the cover Friday, color finished it, and added the text on Saturday. And then I did an additional 7 or 8 pages of color flatting yesterday, Sunday. Now it's Monday morning. We're going to head over, without further ado. Actually, there is a further ado. There's one more ado. I'm going to jump into the chat and see if anybody's chatting us up. And while I do that, pop this chat open. No chatters. No chatters happening yet. That's okay. Jump in that chat. Chat me up. Let's talk. As I walk you through this color flatting phase, I show you how to color flat a page the way I do it. There are many different ways to do it, but you guys are tired of looking at my fat face. Let's reveal of the cover of the final issue, the double-sized 52-page final issue of Dead Shit, the Talisman of Transmutation. We wrap it all up here, gang. This is it, the finale. And here comes the cover Are you ready? Let's look at it. There it is, gang. There it is. There she is in all her glory. The cover of A Dead Shit, issue number 3. We'll take a good look at it. We'll dig deep into it. So this is Ahomana, the goddess that has escaped from Don Duepe's talisman of transmutation. She is grown, obviously, into a giant. She's got some demonic horns, a third eye. She's got some claws. She's turned green. Still got that red hair, though. And she is towering above Nixon's busted-ass house down there. We got some mutated zombies walking around. Don Duepe still stuck in the crystal shard she placed him in at the end of issue 2. We got a naked Nixon down there. It looks like a dick with an axe head on it. We've got Hogan down there in the corner. Tony looking peaked. Yeah, got some trees, some more houses in the background, a road. Yeah, this is it. This cover was a lot of fun to compose and create. As usual, I decided for this comic series to actually use a piece of interior art, one of the splash pages, one of the full page pages from the comic as the cover. So the actual interior page will have her totally nude. But for modesty's sake, for the I'm trying to think of I'm trying to keep in mind that I want to put these dead shit comics in vape shops and smoke shops. Illinois just passed recreational marijuana, and we're going to have a lot of commercial. A lot of these vape and smoke lounges are going to convert to commercial marijuana dealerships in the coming year. And I want to get in on the ground floor of that with my comics. Since these are stoner comics, I want to be able to display these in these vape shops and what will end up being weed shops. And there are a fuck ton of these shops in this area. I don't know about where you're from, but there are dozens upon dozens of vape shops around, and I'm assuming a big, group of them are going to convert over to commercial marijuana sales, and it's like 18 to 21 plus. I think they just changed the age to buy tobacco and vape stuff to 21. So these shops are going to cater to the 21 plus audience. So I probably could have put her tits on the cover and not worried about it. But just for the sake of these vape shop owners, they don't know who I am. They are going to have to take a chance on me and my product as to whether or not the customer base is even going to enjoy it. So I wanted to take away as many. I mean, even calling the comic book dead shit puts me in an awkward place as far as retail sales go. Some retailers will balk at profanity in the title of a work of entertainment. What is interesting is that is not those standards are not held for a popular Hollywood work. Popular Hollywood work can call itself whatever it wants, and will still be sold commercially without hesitation. But an independent work, especially from a local self-published independent artist, I went through all this with the movies back in the day. So you would think I would have learned my lesson and just called this series Nixon and Hogan and the Talisman of Transmutation, but I wanted to stay true to the roots of the comic book. I wanted this to be a direct comic book adaptation, and I didn't want to compromise, at least for this issue. For this series, the Dead Shit series has to be as pure as possible because it's an homage to my friend Nick, who tragically left us last year, died, and I wanted I wanted this series to be what it was, a direct adaptation of the film. And so I possibly one last time, I decided I would go up against the sort of reaction that local retailers have to displaying a work of independent, self-published entertainment with profanity in the title. We'll go ahead, I'll go ahead and take that chance this one last time. Future adventures with Nixon and Hogan will probably just be called Nixon and Hogan and whatever, like Nixon and Hogan Smoke Christmas. I already, by the time I finished making films, I'd already tired of people criticizing and critiquing me for using profanity in the titles, which I think is hilarious, and I don't think it should fucking matter that I use profane titles. I think that they set the tone for the insanity of Strangeville, and they're funny to me. They make me laugh. Other people don't think so. I'm going to jump back in the chat real quick. Still no chat. Jump on in the chat. Tell me what you think of this cover. And we are going to, well, let's dig in here a little bit. I want to show you guys some of the details. I'm just going to drop down here. We got Nixon and Hogan, Don Duepe, Zombie Tony. We got Nixon's dick axe laying on the ground here. Some cool mutated zombies. Mutated zombie there. Some more mutated zombies up in the corner. Got a nice look at Ahomana's zombie head. Monster head, I'm sorry. I had originally when I did the original character design, her regular eyeballs were going to pop out on stalks, and she was going to look more crustacean-like, and she was going to have a lot of ridges all over her body. And when it came to actually creating her and evolving her mutations as the comic series has gone on, she's gotten sort of sexier and sexier. And I wanted to kind of maintain that cuteness and sexiness even in her giant form once I got into it. So I changed the character design to a more cute monster than a hideous looking beast as originally designed. So that is the cover. I'm super stoked. I probably have about another 3 weeks of work, I would say, and the whole thing will be finished. But let's jump in and do some color flatting and teach you guys how to color flat in Clip Studio Paint Pro. This is the way. There's a lot of different methodologies and ways to go about coloring. This is the way I've taught myself and chosen to pursue coloring. It works for me. And we're going to color flat this page. This is page 9. We're going to color flat this, which means we are going to add the basic color components to the entire piece. But we're not going to add any detail or shading to or texture layers to the piece. We're simply going to lay in the flat colors. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Most colorists ask that a flatter flat the pages first so that the colorist can focus solely on the texture and the color variation, the shading, because it is a labor-intensive phase of the comic, and a lot of colorists ask their flatters to make the colors just pick. They want them to pick random colors, and just make sure that everything that needs to be a different color is a different color, and they don't care what. So they would just drop in, crazy purples and pastels and not care, because the colorist will then select those select those layers, those colors, and change them to what they want the actual art to be colored as, the actual color palette for the comic. However, since I am my own colorist, I do everything. There's no need for me to take that extra step of having the color flatting be weird random colors. So I choose the exact colors that the comic is going to be, and then call that my color flatting phase. But it still achieves, excuse me, the same results. So the first thing I do is I create a new layer, call it color. I could call it color flat, but I just call it color, and I make that layer underneath the ink layer. Underneath the ink layer, I then select my paint bucket tool and make sure that I pick refer to other layers, which is important. It's also important to keep all these. I have close gap on, follow adjacent pixel on, color margin set at 10, area scaling is set to 10 and on, multiple referencing layers is on, and anti-aliasing is off. Those are all my my paint bucket settings, and these settings are important because it's going to look like what I do next is some kind of magic, but it's not. It's these settings set to all of these particular degrees help me to flat these pages very quickly. So I'm coming back to a page that I did. This is page number 2, and it's got all my characters on it. It's also got my house on it, and it's got my my bushes and my grass on it. And the reason that I pulled this, keep this page open, is because I can come in with my eyedropper tool, which will select any color that I want. So this grass that I just selected, I selected the green from the grass. I'm now going to go back to my new page, go back to my paint bucket tool, and now my grass is going to fill in the exact same color of grass that is on page 2 and all the subsequent pages. So the colors will match throughout the comic book. And as you can see, it's only hitting the grass parts of the page, and that looks like some kind of weird magic is happening. The reality is, all of these areas are closed to the ink of the rest of the figures and things. And so it's allowing me, because I picked all of these, because I picked to close gap, follow adjacent pixel, area scaling, and multiple referencing layers, it's referencing that layer, that ink layer above. It's referencing this ink layer, and it's not crossing any of the ink lines from that other layer. And that allows me to nail in that grass in seconds. And now I'll go in and grab, with my eyedropper tool, back to page number 2, and I grab the color of the bushes. Now I'm going, and this doesn't work perfectly. There are times where this is going to bleed out, and that's where patience comes in. It's not a magic tool, and it's not going to do everything perfectly. But this page itself is fairly. The lines I did pretty well as far as closing all the gaps to the point that they need, and that closed gap. I'm now eyedropping Hogan's hoodie color. I'm going to go in and drop it in there, but on my paint bucket layer, those settings, the close gap setting, will actually allow there to be a little bit of wiggle room on these in these inks that will it'll close up little bitty gaps, and you can adjust the size of what kind of gaps do you want me to close, what kind of gaps do you want me to leave open, and I'm pretty generous with my gaps because I don't always close. Like, as you can see, this little spot right here is a little open. It was a little open on the I'm going to go in here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This this line on this bush wasn't exactly closed, so it bled out just a tiny bit. And this spot on the on Hogan's shorts didn't close exactly, and so this bled in just a tiny bit. And these are little things that we go in and adjust and play with, and that's why this isn't just like a magic. It looks like it's magic, but there is some patience that you have to go in and do this work. Now you notice that as I lay in the flesh layer, it covered up that grass spot. So the program intuitively, as long as you use the settings to your advantage, I need to go back to the ink layer. I only put hair on one of Hogan's legs. Some hair on the rest of this. Back to my color layer, and we'll go back to flesh tone, Hogan's flesh tone, and we'll finish up his face. Oftentimes I don't completely fill in the goatee there, so I will fix that. That goatee got filled in as flesh. I'll fix that in a moment. And notice because of, it didn't grab the whole, it didn't do the whole thing, but it did fill in a little bit. So what we're going to do is go over here, grab Hogan's goatee color, and then instead of the paint bucket, I'm just going to use my my G pen and go in and fill this in manually. There we go. Being this close, I can also see that I missed a couple of spots on the face. And these little, going in and filling in these little details will help tremendously with the next phase. If I fill in all this stuff and make sure everything is solid, I'll show you in a minute why that's the case. It helps the next phase of color shading and finishing details a lot. So we're going to finish up Hogan's hat here, and I missed his head. Go back to the, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and do his mouth while we're at it, and I just, it doesn't matter, so I don't necessarily, if the inside of the mouth is a little less maroon or a little more maroon, it doesn't really matter. It's not a detail people are going to pay a lot of attention to. Get his mouth handled there. I need to do his pants. I don't think I have his pants on this page. So I'm going in and finding a page with his pants. I don't know if his pants have been in the comic yet. They haven't. So I'm going to go to an issue, a page from issue 2 that have Hogan's pants. Pull that open real quick. And now I can grab the color of Hogan's shorts. Drop those in. And Hogan is done at that point. You might be saying to yourselves, well, this is kind of tedious. Well, it is. It is kind of tedious. I'm going to do Don Duepe here real quick. And he gets his entire body gets covered here. So I'm just going to go into my G pen and just kind of color over him. He's trapped in the crystal shard. This happened to him at the end of issue number 2. If you're following along. If not, then spoiler alert. Right. That gets that. Then I can fill in paint bucket in the rest. and Don Duepe is done. Now, if you look at the cover, Don Duepe's crystal shard looks way different. Way different. Well, that's because I do that in the finishing layer, or the finishing phase. I'll add the white streaks, and I'll add the color gradation that way. Still no chat? Chat me up. Come on in. I'm going to go ahead and handle this house real quick. So, again, we're just dropping in the grays. It'll be real quick and easy because I've prepped my settings beforehand to keep any headaches away. And clearly I can zoom through this process when I'm not covering. I can zoom through this process when I'm not talking live on the computer, you know. Talking to you fellas, the hack minions, strange heads. When I'm not talking to you fine folks, I can really race through this process and get a ton of pages done in a day. Whoops. Right. Go in there. Deeper. Catch that. Catch all that. Switch back to gray and catch these little spots here. Catch these little spots here with the green. Okay. Pretty much done. Drop a black into the door for now. Now we're going to hit up Tony's colors and get Tony down here. All that. Tell you what, it's a hell of a weekend. It's the 4th of July weekend at my night job was just hellacious. Made a lot of money though. Made pretty much all of my living expenses in one weekend, which is nice. That's what I try to do. I try to live right inside those means. What I make in a weekend handles all my living expenses for the entire month. And you go a little bit lighter gray and hit this X. His pants. So Monday mornings for me are sometimes I get a late. Today I got a pretty late start, and that's okay. It's okay because we're here. We're out here, and we're doing this. Let's get his hat color, and you notice most of this stuff is just a single color, and I'll go in and do a lot of color variation in the next phase. But this is all. It's very important to just hit all this and hit it all well. Like down here, this is all muddy. This needs to catch all this, and once I can catch all this stuff, boy, does it help a lot. I'll show you guys in a minute what I mean by that. I'm going to hit Tony's skin color, but I think I'm going to actually tone it up a little bit because he's bleeding out. This This scene will be much more violent when I go to the finishing phase because it will be very bloody. A lot of blood and bodily fluids get slung around in the finishing phases. But the flatting phase is kind of boring. We are just nailing it all in. Do that dark crimson for the inside of his mouth and bright red for his tongue. Grab the color here on the dick axe. Yes, it's a dick axe. And one thing that I do here, for some reason, I do vary the color of the dick in this phase. I'm not sure why, but I make the head a bulbous color, and then I also come in here and do the veins the same color. Now, I normally don't do any variation. I would just leave the dick the way it is, but for some reason, I always decide to go in and do this. Make it look more dicky. Okay. And that is a color flatted page, I believe. I believe we are done with that page. And were I to go ahead and do, and I will show you guys what the color, we'll do a color finish page also, so you guys see where that, what that ends up looking like. But this is, now that it's flatted, this is very powerful because I can go to my select tool, and since I have all of these follow adjacent pixel, close gap, all of this stuff selected with my auto select tool, and refer to only the layer being selected. So instead of referring to other layers, now we're only referring to the layer being selected. But I can now go in and grab Hogan. I can go in and grab Don DeWepe. I can go in and grab just Tony's pants. I can go in and grab just the dick axe. I can go in and grab just the grass. I can go in and grab the gray of the house or the roof. But if you'll notice, this doesn't grab all the grass. This grabs everything closed in. I can get even more powerful. And so whenever I go to do those finishing details and shading, I can very quickly grab things. Grab parts of his face. I can grab parts of his hat. I can grab the windows because I'm grabbing these pieces of these blocks of color. Again, I'll turn off the ink layer, and you can see where I'm just grabbing blocks from this color layer. But there's an even more powerful way I can use color selections now that I've flatted the page. I can actually go to selection, select color gamut, and select all that green. So now the entire green has been selected with 2 clicks. Select color gamut. And that allows for extremely precise control. So now I can go in here and say, I want a yellow road to go directly through my grass. Well, I can now add a road right through the grass. I can add several stripes, right? And it only affects that grass layer. You see how powerful that becomes? And I can now, because I did that on my own layer, I can now change the opacity of those stripes that I just put through into the grass. So you can see where I can quickly do a shadow layer right into the grass. And all that is because I've color flatted. That color flatting is one of the most powerful parts of the color process. It's vitally important. We're going to call that done. Gang. We're going to call it done there. I appreciate you coming by. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video and subscribe. I'm going to turn back into human mode real quick. Oh, hey, I'm back. So, yes, if you haven't liked the video, please like the video. If you haven't commented, please take a second to drop a comment on the video. It helps push this video up in the algorithm to recommend it to people who like weird shit like this. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I do videos often. We do live streams like this quite a bit. I have weird guests that'll come on and hang out with us and talk to us. I love to have conversations with the chat while I draw these comic books, and you get to see the entire creation process of the Strangeville comic books. The Strangeville comic book universe expands daily thanks to you and your support. You can find links to buy my novels. You can find links to buy my movies. All these hack movies that I talk about all the time, there's a link to purchase them below. There's a link to buy Hack Movies merchandise. If you like them hoodies, you like them t-shirt, them torso covers with all that Hack Movies stuff, all them hack logos all over that business piece, there's a link to the merchandise down below. Thank you all for joining me today. Until next time, remember to stay strange.